And there's our video game movie of this genre of suck. Um, it's Doom, and well, it's not good. So, I remember this movie coming out about a decade ago. Uh, well, a little more than that. It's like, 2006, 2005. But watching it now, I'm like, this movie looks like it was made in the 90s. Like, not even in the sense that, you know, of, the effects, which are bad, but in terms of just like the way it's lit, the way it's shot, it feels like a 90s movie and not a particularly good one, like, one that had like a decent budget. It looks pretty low, all things considered. And yeah, this is just how the whole movie feels like. It's lit very poorly. A lot of it is just hallways and hallways, and it's not even interesting to look at. It's all just horrible. But you know, I don't know. I guess they were on a budget, and yeah, it's just weird looking at it now. Uh, quick aside on if you want to know what the plot of the movie is. If you've ever played Doom, you got a general idea. Mars, uh, demonic zombie-like creatures that are supposed to be from hell. Um, Soldiers are shooting them, and science and all this bullshit. Uh, but all of it is just a confusing mess. Like, it was to the point that I was constantly nodding off throughout the movie just because so much of it was just dull to look at, and it didn't help that so much of it is just, um, you know, the soldiers shoot things, then they go back to confront the lone female scientist in the movie, which is Rosamund Pike. They complain like, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on?" Then back to shooting things, and it's kind of like that back and forth. I mean, of course, I am generalizing it. I am putting it down in a more basic term, but that really is just how the movie is like all throughout. It's just shoot, talk to scientist lady, shoot, scientist lady. Here's Dwayne Johnson before he really took off. Just saying fuck, and it's always awkward. Not because I don't believe that he can say the words. Like, of course he's gonna be able to swear. I've heard him swear before this. It's just that some of it, just much of it, reminds me of like if you've ever played the Shadow the Hedgehog game, where they just force a swear in and just go like, "Oh, that's a damn thing" or whatever. Like, they do that, but instead of it's fuck. Like, Dwayne Johnson just goes like, "What the fuck," like several times, and it's like, okay, this is just repeating so much. And in terms of things that I didn't expect to see in this movie, maybe it's because I haven't really seen anything of it since I saw the trailers for it, over a decade ago. But I did not realize that Carl Urban was in this movie, let alone pretty much the main character of the movie. So I was just like, oh, okay. I mean, cool actor, but this movie sucks. And thinking back to it, I remember the big selling point of the movie was like that they were actually gonna do like the whole first person shooter thing in the movie, and I was like, okay, maybe that's gonna be kind of fun. And unless I'm forgetting a lot, and I could be because, like I said, I was nodding off in a lot of this movie. That really only happens until like towards the end, and it's kind of boring. Like, I remember people who've talked about it mentioned that it felt like you were playing a video game, and I thought like, well, maybe they're just bashing it just because it's bad and it's a video game movie. But no, it really does feel like you're playing a video game when they do that whole scene, because the way it's shot is just like, okay, turns to the left, there's a monster there, shoots, turns to the right, nothing there, walks a little forward, turns to the left, monster there, turns to the right, monster there, and it's just like, it really is just like an old video game. It's not, an interesting technique where they're like, basing it on that, but using something that's inspiring. Like, I've seen plenty of movies that do like the whole first person shot. Like, if you saw Hardcore Henry a few years back, that was kind of like that, but it still managed to do something interesting every single time it moved somewhere else. This one just doesn't. I'm just like, why are they doing this shot other than just to please the fans? And even the fans are probably going to be pissed at it just because, they're not the ones actually playing it. They have no control over it, so it just makes the whole thing lose a lot of energy. And yeah, just really not much I can say about this movie other than it looks bad. The effects look bad. It looks like something made 2 decades ago, not just a decade ago. The action's not good. The story is just a mess. Everything's just a big scientist lady says this, soldiers do that, scientist lady does this, and it's just goes on for an hour and 40, and I'm just there like, this is not interesting. It's not a fun action movie, and like, I can't even recommend it as something that you'd watch. Like if you just wanted to see some carnage, which I get. There's always a need for that. I mean, not that I'm saying Godzilla is comparable to this, but I've seen a lot of the old Godzilla movies just because it's like, hey, look, it's monsters fighting, and even if a lot of them don't have a good story to it, it's like, look, you're just paying to watch monsters fight, so that's gonna be fun. It doesn't have that same kind of thrill. There's no, oh well, as long as you enjoy seeing monsters getting shot at, it's fun. Like no, it's the effects are still bad. That it's not even enjoyable to see things blow up. It's just kind of cheap and lame, and just really just nothing to it. Um, yeah, this is definitely one of the worst ones I've seen so far this year. I mean, if I'm not angry, it's less because the movie's not that bad, because it is really that bad, and more that I just really can't muster up any energy out of what I just saw. And I get it, that's kind of par for the course for video game movies, but even on grading it on that low scale, it's bad. I mean, Dwayne Johnson would go on to do Rampage, uh, you know, another video game movie, and at least that one was fun. Like it's not even a really good movie. It's just kind of okay, but it's entertaining enough because the whole thing is just on like, hey, look, here's The Rock with giant monsters, and you just get what you pay for. You get the action, you get the fun stuff, the goofy stuff. It's not high art or anything, but it's like a candy bar. You enjoy it for what it is. This is not that, and it's just a really bad video game movie. It's often touted as one of the worst. I don't know if I'd go that far, but I wouldn't really argue it being on those lists. So yeah. Oh well.